In Bide Act 2, I ended up using the same free-to-play team to attack it, and I added in Blue Kenny. So when I was attacking this team, Ryan had not been updated yet, so he is all TBD, but we now know that he is a Bide character with a very annoying taunt, in my opinion. And I kind of like that he doesn't do a lot of damage on his rush, only 200%, because it means he's less likely to trigger unfriendly attacks like payback or bide as a reciprocal. So a little information on the team that I chose. Andrea is my lead for her huge bonus to AP when attacking to all ranged characters, as well as her attack plus 40 skill to all ranged as well. We have Alpha, who's a Generation 1 toon with Collateral 2, so she can apply damage to one toon and adjacent toons if she has a critical hit, which Kenny supports. She has an active AP drain, and on her rush she can also confuse the enemy. Yumiko is a cutthroat toon, so she can be quite effective when you have a lot of status effects that you can apply with your attacking team, which I do. Active confuse, and she was one of the first 6 stars I've ever had, so she's a fan favorite. Douglas is a Guardian Shield toon, so applies a shield that can block payback and bide and other unfriendly attacks. Has an active confuse skill, and on his rush he can heal, apply a defensive buff, and taunt. Earl is a free-to-play toon from the League store. He does 3 attacks of 150% damage, and he has an active stun, which can be very useful in my opinion. Now, there are a lot of different methods in order to beat these roadmaps. Honestly, I would bring in a Guardian Shield if you don't have a human shield, because the Guardian Shield can block most unfriendly attacks, and it just makes it easier when controlling the enemy. Because even if you know that Bide is going to be released because you're going to reach 2000 damage on that toon, if you attack with a character that is under a Guardian Shield, it forces Bide to be released, and your Guardian Shield will absorb all the damage. Another method, especially for these roadmaps, would be bringing in a reviver who can bring your toons back in case they are on the receiving end of Bide. I personally like using characters that have a bit of control, and that way you're not worried as much about other toons rushing, and you just feel like you're in control of a situation. Like even right now, even against Mercer, I hate Mercer because of how tanky he is, and it would have been better if I had a attack up character, but I do have a defense down weapon when attacking on my Andrea, I believe, and I can just auto the end of this, for instance. I find in roadmaps it's very important to understand what the defense does in order to plan out your attack and figure out who needs to die first or last, and who's a priority toon and who's not. So when Ryan ended up having his rush and his active skill and Bide updated, I would say he definitely became a priority toon on this roadmap, because Bide is one of the most frustrating abilities in my opinion, because the AI is smart enough to defend on its own if it knows it can use the stored Bide to kill one of your toons. So I personally like triggering Bide on my own, because then I'm still in control of the situation. So I did end up running through this last stage again after they updated Ryan, so he does have Bide, and I will show you that in the next video. And I will still run the exact same team against it, just to show that I can still beat it with this free-to-play team. It's not very complicated, and many people should have these toons, and there's a lot of different toons that you could sub in to use instead. If you don't have, say, Andrea as a lead, you could probably get away with using the Wanderer, especially on this last stage where there's Gabriel, because you can use his defense down but with his rush, and he's pretty powerful that way. For a Guardian toon, you have quite a few options. In my opinion, Rick is a better Guardian toon than Douglas. Obviously he wouldn't work behind the same lead, so you could even use a defensive lead like Blue Garrett, supplement it with Yellow Javier, because I find Javier's a great way in order to leverage your team if you don't have a true attack leader, because he's able to drop the enemy's defense and give you 100% attack to I think 2 toons. So this really makes any type of defensive team and offensive team very easily. So for the amount of effort that had to go into these roadmaps, the amount of energy and time, and the difficulty level, especially for some of the newer players, you would think you would get better rewards other than I think one legendary trainer and a couple pieces of gear. It all just seems a little lackluster, like there's no thought involved into what type of prizes actually go out to us as users. And here you just saw Ryan ended up using his rush and he taunted 4 toons, but with him being pretty weak and not modded, my alpha was able to kill him. As you see, in a lot of my roadmap matches, I utilize a lot of control, but I think I could have also beaten this team using bleed and a decapitation toon. So what I like about bleed is that it's unskilled damage, which works really well against toons that have bide and payback, because the bleed and burn will not add to their bide, meaning you can stack it and it's only the damage you actually apply from attacking the character that contributes to their bide. I would love to hear some of the strategies and teams that you all use to defeat this roadmap, so feel free to PM me online at linkesus with a period at the end and contribute some video. I would be happy to do a breakdown of it, even if it's a team build or a type of team that you like to use and run that you find to be quite effective that might be underrated, or where you use toons that are severely underrated. I always like doing breakdowns on unique teams and toons that people wouldn't think could be useful. Like, I would like to say that almost any toon in this game has some sort of use, but it's sometimes very difficult to find exactly what it is. So by sharing ideas, it's the best way in order to spread these ideas around and help people see toons and abilities in a different light. Thank you again everyone for supporting my channel and for tuning in, watching my videos, commenting, liking, and subscribing. It really means a lot to me. As you've probably noticed, I've started to play the game Raid Shadow Legends, but I'm going to add a new part to my channel where I'm going to try playing new games almost every week and try to give a little breakdown on what it's like to be a beginner in the game. I'm also going to be attempting to write kind of like a beginner's tips and tricks for all the games that I end up playing, and I hope that it ends up being informative.